And welcome back. Today, we're really lucky in our third block to have Larry Green, former principal at Pinewood Elementary School, running for the school board of the school district of Martin County, Florida. The greatest school district in the state of Florida. One of the best school districts in the country. Take my word for it. I've been in all of them, at least it feels like I've been in all of them. Larry, good morning.
Thanks for having me here, Dick.
It's really a pleasure to have you. I'm going to ask some personal questions, if I may.
Sure.
It's kind of like, who are you, what are you, where do you do it, and where do you want to do it, and all those kinds of questions. But basically, where are you from originally?
Well, I was born in Boston. My father was a teacher in Massachusetts. And when I was 5 years old, he moved the family from Massachusetts to New Jersey. He was making $3,600 in Massachusetts, and he got his salary doubled to move us to New Jersey. So he moved to New Jersey. I went to school in New Jersey, then graduated college, and in 1978, moved to Florida. I started my teaching career at Port Salerno Elementary School, taught there for 14 years, and then for the next 17 years, I served as an administrator. Actually, I take that back. For 14 years, I was a physical education teacher, and then 3 years a fourth grade teacher, and then the next 17 years as an administrator.
Now, are you at Port Salerno under Nowitzki?
No. Well, yes, he was the superintendent.
And
Mrs. Carpenter was our principal, and Frank Brogan was the fifth grade teacher.
That's where I was headed.
We started the same year Frank Brogan and I started teaching. He was a fifth grade teacher in 1978, and I was a physical education teacher.
Well, Frank, the Florida fans don't like to think about this, but he's from Ohio. He is a Buckeye. So, a favorite son of Buckeye land. So you ended up in Florida, and you were teaching in the district for a long time under all of the Nowitzki, Brogan, and Sarah Wilcox. Mm-hmm. And we just saw Sarah the other night at one of the Get to Know the Candidates Forum. I haven't seen Sarah in a while. It's always good to see Sarah Wilcox. And with that in mind, who do you think influenced you the most when you think about the school district, the school board, how you think the school district can improve? You know, the school district that was always at a certain level of expertise, and just give us some flavor of who you are.
I think Frank Brogan and Sarah Wilcox were the two biggest influences on my life. Frank and I started teaching together, but I saw his career go so quickly, and he was a gigantic friend of mine as well as a gigantic influence. He was a usher in my wedding, and we've stayed close. I actually talked to him a couple days ago to update him about my campaign. And then Sarah, he left to be the Commissioner of Education in the state of Florida. And Sarah actually hired me for my first administrative job at Seawind Elementary School. And Sarah pushes, but she really helped me out and really helped me out professionally. And I would say Frank and Sarah were the two biggest influences on my life professionally.
Of course, now we have really different challenges than we had, 10, 15 years ago. And what, in relationship to your running for the school board, what are those challenges that you see are really the most important things that you want to address?
Well, after serving the school district for 38 years, my initial plans were to play golf for 4 or 5 days a week and ride off into the sunset. But over the last year, I've been a little bit unhappy with the direction of the school board, and I decided to throw my hat in the ring. The school district grades came out the other day, and just like many within the school district, I wasn't too pleased with what I saw, although my school, Pinewood Elementary School, did fantastic. We ended up tied for being fifth in the district as far as proficiency, which was fabulous. But that said, the district went from an A to a B. I think I can lend my expertise to the board and help out where the deficiencies are. I think one major thing we need to focus on is how to work with our lowest quartile, and that's areas where some of the schools have slipped.
So it's not the criteria in which the state evaluates school districts that you feel is the problem. It's the problem of this lowest quartile at the school level?
Well, all the districts are rated the same way, and it actually went back to the same way it's been rated in the past, where you have 7 areas, and they want to make sure you're servicing all your students, including the lowest quartile, which are many of your ESE, your special education students. And some schools are not servicing those subgroups, and we have to make sure we're servicing all the students.
Is Title I a big issue in that group as well?
Title I is a bigger issue in proficiency. Not necessarily lowest quartile, but in proficiency.
Now, when you say proficiency, this is months growth per month?
No, that's level 3 or above.
Okay.
Level 3 on reading, or actually ELA or math.
Okay. So where do you see your influence the most when you're successful and you're sitting on the board? Where do you see your influence? I mean, school districts are broken down. You have the fiscal responsibility and you have curriculum responsibility. Curriculum, of course, is where my heart is, and dealing with these challenging students. Where do you see the direction you want to influence the board?
Well, I'm the only candidate of the 3 that can offer everything to the board. Number 1, I'm retired. I'm the only one that can be a full-time school board member. The problem with the incumbent right now, he cannot attend, so he doesn't attend school events, and he can't go to schools to see what's going on. You can't just show up a couple times a month and say, I'm going to make decisions that aren't really informed. I can go into schools and I can see what's going on. Schools send out invitations to school board members all the time to come and see what great things are going on in schools. I will be at schools almost every day. I can be there. I'm retired. I have that curriculum background. I also have the budgetary background because I've had to run a school budget for the last 21 years as an administrator. So I have that background. I also have the community background dealing with parents and business partners. So I think Larry Green is a total package as far as a school board member.
One of the things that in the past that some school board members do and some school board members don't do, and that's take advantage of the State School Board Association workshops. These workshops bring you up to speed on legal, but especially in the fiscal area when you're dealing with budgets and whether it be at the building level or the district level. These workshops have always been very helpful. Do you plan and you see yourself being active in school boards?
Extremely active. For the last 4 years, I took it upon myself to travel to Tallahassee to lobby our administrators. I've met with Joe Negron, Mary Lynn Magar, with Gail Harrell, also with the House and Senate chairs of education, to talk about issues, to talk about testing, to talk about the money, the finance that's going out of Martin County because we're a big donor county. This school board wanted to vote to get out of the Florida School Board Association. I thought that was a bad decision that they were going to make. Fortunately, they decided not to get out because they are our lobbying branch up in Tallahassee. So I'm going to be a very active person both here and in Tallahassee.
We have a big race coming up for the superintendency as well. And of course, we've all known Lori for a long time as a professional speech therapist. I've known Lori since I've lived here. Are you taking a position for the superintendency right now, or are you going to leave that race on its own?
Well, let me just say this. I was the first educator that Lori ever met in this county 21 years ago when she enrolled her 2 children at Seawind Elementary School. I was the assistant principal, and I came out to the front desk to meet her. So I've known Lori for 21 years as a friend and as a peer. But that said, I'm too busy with my own race. I'm not supporting anybody in any of the races in politics or the educational races. She's a friend, but I'm involved in my own race.
Well, it's one of those questions, of course, you got to ask, so I had to ask it. So I want to thank you for coming by today and having the opportunity to meet with everybody in Martin County all at one time. It's when you're pressing the flesh, as they say, one by one, that's really good. But when you can get anybody in one spot, 30,000 people, and tell your story quickly, concisely, we're really pleased to have you.
If I could just finish up real quick.
You can.
please remember that this is a nonpartisan race, so all Democrats, Republicans, everyone can vote, and not only District 5 people can vote. And my platform very quickly is, number one, we want to make sure we compensate our staff fairly. We want to make sure we don't test our children too much, and we want to make sure the FSA is a fair instrument to test our children, and we want to engage the community. Make sure that the community comes into our schools, because these are public schools. And that's the platform I'm running on. So remember to vote green on August 30th. Thank you very much, Dick. I appreciate the time.
Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.